I'm in the 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross. This is the XLE all-wheel drive. This has every option on it. Today, we're gonna give you just a little point of view drive. It's a little too windy for me to get outside the car and give you guys a walk around, so I'll insert plenty of that B-roll in there for you guys to get an idea on the outside. Now, this is a 2022 model. The 2023 pricing is available, and the 2023 models are already hitting the dealerships. So is this vehicle in the $32,000 that it's equipped at worth it over, let's say, an entry-level RAV4? We'll answer that question at the end, but let's start with the exterior. On the front, this XLE gets a unique silver bezel around the blackened grille. It also gets fog lights up front, and it gets upgraded LED headlights over the base 2 trims. There are only 3 trim levels of this vehicle in America. As of now, for 2023, they will be adding the hybrid model, which is going to give you more power, more fuel economy, a better driving experience overall, and you also get more trim levels on that, all sporty trim levels, S, SE, and XSE, on top of the LE and XLE, if I remember correctly. And I will be driving that hybrid for you guys this spring, so definitely stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so I can give you guys hands-on driving impressions of the hybrid variant of the Corolla Cross. Getting back to the exterior, on the side of this vehicle, you have blacked out roof rails on this XLE trim. You have unique wheels. When you get to the back, you have a paint matched bumper to an extent. It's not the full bumper, just an accent that's paint matched for this trim. Underneath the bumper, the exhaust pipe really sticks out. It's kind of a sore thumb, especially from certain angles, so that's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully they tuck it out of the way on the hybrid trim when we get it later this year. So that's the lane alert system. The safety features on here are pretty good. Radar cruise control stops and starts the vehicle. You also have blind spot monitor on here. This XLE has parking sensors. Underneath the hood is a 2-liter M28 FKS engine. It has 169 horsepower. It has a CVT, but Toyota has a real first gear to start you off. It's kind of a launch gear. It just feels like a CVT at all times to me. I haven't pushed it hard off the line. I guess that's when you'll feel that real first gear, but just putting around town just feels like any other CVT to me. And when you need the power, like I'm just gonna get in the power, it's very responsive. And you're not waiting on the transmission to downshift like a traditional transmission. So even though, like, you know, it doesn't have a lot of power, like I said, it is responsive when you need it. Now, this has all-wheel drive, and the all-wheel drive gives you a massive upgrade, and I feel like it's pretty much mandatory if you can get all-wheel drive. I live here in South Florida, and it's hard to get all-wheel drive models, but if you can get all-wheel drive, what you get with it is an independent rear suspension, and this vehicle feels great on the road. It handles the bumps well, and also when you throw it in the turns, it handles really well. It feels very sorted out, and I would say nearly luxurious with its ride quality. I just drove kind of an upscale version of this car called the Lexus UX last week, and that vehicle rides and is so quiet. It feels like a dream. It's like a cloud in that thing. This vehicle, being that it costs, 15 grand less or so, it still does a good job with the suspension in this all-wheel drive model. Where it can't match the Lexus UX is with the just overall quietness that vehicle has over this, as well as suppressed road noise. I hear a lot more noise coming from the tires and underneath the vehicle compared to that Lexus UX. Now, on the interior of this vehicle, we have soft text on this trim. The other trim levels below this have cloth seats, and you can get those cloth seats in a nice light gray material, which I do like. The climate control is very basic here, but very easy to use with the rotary dial as well as a manual fan control. This has the old Toyota software. For 2023, they're upgrading it. The biggest upgrade for most of you guys is going to be wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You will lose the tuning knob on the new system, as well as all these buttons, because the new software is pretty much purely touch sensitive. However, you do have normal CarPlay and normal Android Auto if you plug it in to this USB port right here. You also have a wireless charger in this XLE trim and heated seats that you don't see in the lesser trims. I have a leather wrapped steering wheel, which you can get on the LE trim, and the LE trim is probably the way I would be going, but I'll explain more of that later. In terms of materials in here, kind of a soft plastic here on the door, and then hard touch all on the top and on the roof. Well, at least on the A-pillar here. That's unfortunate. I wish this would be a little bit nicer. Also on the A-pillar, we have the JBL sound system. I guess you could see the little tweeter over there in the corner. It actually sounds really good. Not so much the mids and the highs, but I think the JBL does a great job offering a lot of bass in this system, and you can get this JBL on the LE trim, which, like I said, is the way to go. I'm 6'1", and I do feel like I have good arm room. I feel like the vehicle accommodates someone my height. If you're much taller, maybe not, because I do have long legs, and when I scoot the seat back, I feel like I have to reach really, really far to get the steering wheel. So yeah, you do have to sit pretty close to the front dash here if you have long legs, unfortunately. But my arms do sit pretty much where they normally would. My left arm maybe a little bit further forward. It's not quite as comfortable and as accommodating, of course, as a Lexus UX I drove last week. We're gonna get into the gas here. And it is pretty responsive on the line. That real first gear helps. And I got up to 40 miles an hour, no problem there. Probably around 70% throttle. Now, also on this XLE, we have a moonroof, so that's a nice upgrade, I guess, that I don't believe you can get on the lesser trims. Now, when you get in the back seat, that's where I feel like this vehicle is a little too small. It is the smallest crossover in the lineup now that the CHR has been canceled or discontinued for 2023 here in North America. It lives on in other markets. But unfortunately, yeah, that back seat, it's fine for my girls, but even when they put their backpacks for school between the seats, it's hard for them to slot the back. There's tiny backpacks in between the seats where their feet sit. So it is pretty skimpy on overall passenger space in the back. Also in this XLE, you get a fold down cup holder in the top trim here, which is not available on the lower trims. It's also not available, I think I'm gonna have to get over. It's also not available on its rival, the new redesigned HR-V. And I'm not gonna compare too much this vehicle with that vehicle. Just know that that vehicle has a nicer interior overall. And I like the exterior styling on this one. Power, they're both slow. So yeah, and I would say whatever you can get the better deal on, because they're priced nearly identical. The game changer will be when this vehicle gets a hybrid system, and then you also have the new Kona getting a hybrid system for 2024 model year, I believe, when that gets redesigned. It has been officially debuted, other than just digital teasers, that new Hyundai Kona. But back to the back seat, you have a USB-A and a USB-C charger down there, and you also have vents, which I don't think like the HR-V has, for example. Now, you can fold down these rear seats, so you do have that split folding seat there. And I do feel like the cargo space is nice back there compared to, let's say, the Lexus UX that I drove last week. And you also have a spare tire in here, unlike that Lexus vehicle. So no driving modes. I'm just gonna floor it. You know, it doesn't sound good, but it sounds strangely better than the Lexus UX F Sport that I had last week, that had pumped in fake sounds, like it was acting like it was upshifting when it's made it to an ECVT with no real physical gears per se. So it doesn't sound terrible, and I don't feel like it's as loud compared to like the RAV4, for example. By the way, I'm getting about 32 miles per gallon. It says 30.6, but I've been idling this vehicle quite a bit, getting pictures sitting in car line, etc. So 32 miles per gallon is not bad, and the hybrid's gonna come. And surprisingly, Toyota announced that it only has 37 miles per gallon when they announced the hybrid, which seems awfully low, because the Prius uses that system. I know it's apples to oranges, but the Prius uses it and gets way more fuel economy, you know, up to 57 miles per gallon. And when you think about city driving, where hybrids are very efficient, aerodynamics isn't nearly as important as it is highway driving. So yeah, in theory, 37 miles per gallon is extremely lowballing on their end, but definitely wait till we get more information in the spring, like I said, when I drive the hybrid version of this. So is the new brother on the block, the Corolla Cross, a consideration if you're considering a RAV4? Well, if you plan on putting people in the back seat regularly, especially fairly tall people, I'd be getting the RAV4 every single time. If it's mainly just you and occasionally people in the back seat, I think you could swing this vehicle. And I also don't think this vehicle is worth it over $30,000. And that would of course be on this XLE trim when you get all-wheel drive and put in all the extras. I think the best value is spending less than 30K, and that's before destination, mind you. So less than 30K before destination, and get the LE trim. No, you don't get the fog lights or the upgraded headlights here, but it's going to do you just fine, and you're going to be spending less money. You do have to live with cloth seats, which I've ridden in the Corolla Cross with cloth seats when I first drove this vehicle in Austin, Texas, and I thought it was perfectly fine and comfortable. And being here in South Florida, sometimes cloth seats are a little bit cooler than these Softex synthetic leather. So try not to spend over $30,000 on this entry-level crossover. If you are, just go get the RAV4. You're gonna be happy with it unless like your garage is too small or something like that. And don't forget, you can also get that RAV4 hybrid for very inexpensive on that base trim. Might be pretty hard to get on that base trim. Toyota might not be making too many of those hybrids on that base trim, but definitely stay tuned for my driving impressions on the hybrid variant of this spring. I can't wait to share how much different that vehicle is compared to this one, and if it'll be a better buy. I guess it really depends on the pricing, but the pricing is going to be more than this, and then you're getting into RAV4 hybrid territory, which is going to be a bigger vehicle, more space, as well as a lot more power and potentially better fuel economy. So anyways, I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Signing out from the 2022 Corolla Cross. I'll catch you in the next one.